Okay, hello everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Spotlight Series presentation. Today we're highlighting industrial and systems engineering graduate programs, and with us we have Professor Maged Dessouky, who will be giving us a lot of insight into the industrial and systems engineering department and our master's programs that we offer here at Viterbi. Just before we get started, if anyone wants to pop into the chat just to make sure that you guys can all hear me clearly, that my mic is working and the internet is not uh, that I'm coming through. Professor, can you're able to hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So, just a bit of housekeeping. We will be following up in a couple of business days, so you'll have a copy of the slides after today's presentation. Just throughout the sessions, if you have any questions, go ahead and chat them in through the chat function, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar where we'll have time for a Q&A. So today's program will be about the University of Southern California Viterbi School of Engineering. For those of you who haven't joined me in a previous webinar, and then our master's programs in industrial and systems engineering, some frequently asked questions. I'll also talk about Dennett Viterbi, which is our online delivery method. And then at the end of the session, we'll have some time to answer any questions you have for Professor Dessouky or myself. So just an overview of the University of Southern California. Again, for those of you who haven't joined me previously for another session, we are the oldest private university in the Western United States. We were founded back in 1880. Currently, we have over 47,000 students with 26,000 graduate students. We have over 4,700 full-time faculty members, which includes our adjunct faculty members coming from a variety of different industries. We have a very diverse student population representing all different backgrounds and walks of life at different locations around the world as well. For those of you who are not familiar with the LA area, we are located roughly a 15-minute drive from downtown LA, obviously, depending on our notorious traffic. So an overview of the Viterbi School for you. The Viterbi School specifically has 8 academic departments. We have over 6,800 graduate students as of last fall, made up of our master's students, both on campus and online, also our doctoral students. In terms of faculty, we have 213 tenure track faculty, 16 full-time, and 34 total TTNAE members. We have also 90 recipients of the National Science Foundation Career, National, and Presidential Young Investigator Award. Alongside faculty, of course, comes research. So the UFC Viterbi School is a leader in funded research. We have over 35 research centers, a majority of which are located here in Southern California. And over $177 million are invested in research expenditures on an annual basis. Our faculty members, with the support of the doctoral students, they do conduct a lot of research that is then published and then reincorporated back to the classroom for our grad students to learn from. So I'm very happy to introduce you all today to Professor Dessouky. He is Dean's Professor of Industrial and Systems Engineering, Professor of Industrial Systems Engineering and Spatial Sciences as well, the Institute here at Viterbi. He earned his bachelor's and master's in Industrial and Systems Engineering from Purdue, and then his PhD in Industrial and Systems Engineering from UC Berkeley. Go Bears. He is a fellow of the Institute of Industrial Engineers and Institute of Operations Research and Management Sciences. He's also a recipient of the IIE Operations Research Division Excellence in Teaching Award. So I will hand it off to Professor Dessouky. Oh, I believe you are muted. Here, let me.
I think I'm good right now, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you very much, Mina, and thank you for everybody for attending. As mentioned, I'm Professor Dessouky. I've actually been at USC since 1993, so I know the department very well. I know the growth that we've experienced in the past 20 years. I know LA very well also. I've been here living in Los Angeles for over 30 years. And so if you have any general questions about USC or just the department or LA in general, feel free to ask at the end. Now, we're actually we're the Daniel J. Epstein Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering. Not only are we the first named department in Viterbi, we're actually the first named department in the university. And why is that important? Because it allowed us with the initial gift, and we actually got a second gift. So we've gotten a total of over $25 million from the donor for the department to support a number of activities. I'll get to the current faculty count, but we're going to continue growing the faculty to 26, and we're currently at 19. We are going to keep growing our graduate programs, and we also have I'll talk a little bit about this when we get to research. Beyond just the research centers, we do have special programs for master students to do research with funded by the endowment and from gifts from various donors. So the naming of the department is not just a name on the department; it actually provides resources that it benefits the entire student body and the faculty and the staff. So it's a wonderful resource that we have very generous alumni. And plus, the alumni base at USC serves a very strong basis in terms of recruiting and just contacts in industry in general. In terms of the IC departments, we're the second named department in the nation. The one before us was Penn State, and I think they beat us by a month or so. So we have been named for several years, for over 20 years. I think it's about 22 years now. In terms of the size of the faculty, we're 19 tenured and tenure-track faculty members with primary appointments. What is a tenure-track faculty? Those are faculty who do both teaching and research. So they balance the two. We also have, because we have a very large student body in IC, we also have faculty who are just interested in teaching, and we have 8 of those. And we have faculty who are just interested in research, even though some of them may occasionally teach for us, but they're fundamentally do research, and they work in research centers, and they do advise some students who are just interested in research projects. We also have joint appointments with faculty from the business school, in EE, computer science, and other units of the university who do cross-disciplinary work with the department. And we have courtesy appointments along the same lines. Next slide, please. So in terms of the size of the department, we have 200 undergraduate students. We graduate about 80 undergraduate students a year, and we get 20 freshmen a year. So it means that a lot of our undergraduate students are transfer students. They come in some other majors. They don't really know much about industrial engineering at the undergraduate level coming out of high school, and they learn about it in their studies. And so we get a lot of transfer students. And so we have a total enrollment of about 200, and we graduate about 80. Our master's students is less so. They use about 99% of our master's students are students who are coming in directly for that program and less transfer theirs. Currently, we have 850 master's students across several programs. I'll talk about each of them separately as we move on. But the two biggest are the engineering management and analytics. And the way I describe our master's program, so our undergraduate programs are pretty broad, IE degree. Our master's program spans basically the field of industrial engineering is very quantitative, and it has some qualitative elements in terms of management, human factors, and other aspects that are qualitative focus. Our master's programs span that spectrum. The analytics degrees are very quantitatively based. The analytics degree are from much more interested in students who are learning more kind of like how do we make decisions using data. The OR degree is much more of a mathematical modeling degree, using how do we build models that are math-based to make decisions. The engineering management degree, by name alone, has a big management component to it. The IC degree is basically, think of it as your undergraduate degree in IE, but just at a higher level. And then the PD degree and health system degree, I'll talk about later. So our master's programs are quite broad spectrum in terms of, even though our undergraduate degree is broad and you cover all of them, our master's program really is when you want to do some specialization. And if you're interested in the quantitative, then these are the degrees you really need to focus on. If you're more interested in the management side of the field, then here are the degrees you should really focus on. And you can take courses, as electives on one side. It's not like all your courses are going to be on this side. Is that there's going to be room to span the spectrum. We do also have a pretty large PhD program that keeps growing each year because our faculty keeps growing. We have, we had 50 was our current enrollment, but this year we had a large new PhD program. We had like 18 new PhD students, so it keeps growing significantly. We have a number of faculty in the department who play key roles, I would say, in major research centers at the university and in the Viterbi. I'm very heavily involved in the MedTrans Center that's really a center that focuses on urban transportation, and it's joint with the school planning, the Price School of Planning. So in the urban research, in the urban environment, you basically have both freight and passenger vehicles and passenger trains, both of them, and they interact. And so the research center is focused on both planning models, which is more kind of higher level, broad models, and also more of engineering models, which are how do we schedule the logistics and the trains or the buses through the urban center. So it's a quite active research center. It's been around over 20 years. We were the first center that focused after 9/11, a center on how do you assess the risk of terroristic events, and CREATE has been around for a while doing that. We were very generous that one of our donors, one of our alumni, donated a center on research and education and AI and learning. The individual was a vice president at Meta at the time, and they gave a generous donation to create a center on research and education and AI and learning. We have a faculty member who helps run a center on advanced manufacturing, particularly rapid prototyping. And then we have a center on AI in society. This one's more kind of like how do we use AI to improve the well-being of people. Does work on using AI to place the homelessness in the appropriate shelters and other types of activities. So we quite have a very large active faculty leading centers in these areas. And as I mentioned before, we have several large donations which are specifically targeted to not PhD students, but from undergrads and master's students to do research with faculty. So we have stipends that are given to students. It's typically not done your first semester, but once you meet a professor, the idea is you meet a professor, you take their classes, you find out what they're working on, and you may want to do a research project, and that there are resources to fund you to conduct this research. And a lot of students take advantage of that. Next slide, please. So what are the different master's degrees, and and how they differentiate? And that's why I would spend most of my time talking about. How long do I have? How long should I focus my discussion on?
Take your time. So this is an hour session. So
Okay.
yeah, that I go into as much depth as you'd like to.
Okay. Okay. So let's get going with the degrees then, and I'll talk about the kind of jobs in each degree and the target audience for them. So the next slide, please. So as you can see, all our degrees are DEN enabled, and I think we'll talk a little bit about DEN after the degrees, but they're all available on DEN. As I mentioned, the analytics and the OR degree are the two quantitative degrees. The analytics is going to be much more data focused, and the MS-OR degree is going to be much more, I would say, modeling and algorithmic focus. In terms of size, the analytics program is by far our largest program. It has over 450 students. Our second largest is the engineering management program. It has close to over 250 students. So those are by far, I told you there's a total of 850 students. So you have about 200 students in all the rest of the programs. So as I said, engineering management is really interested in students who want to be managers of engineers. And it's quite different than MBA. In the MBA degree, it's a 60-unit degree. Our degree is a 28-unit degree. So it's a quite different focus. Now, when we get to the curriculum, I'll make some differentiations between that degree and the MBA. Now, I'll skip the health systems management engineering degree after I talk about some other degrees. The IE degree, as I mentioned, is basically take their undergraduate degree and just take it at a higher level. It turns out that our IE degree is really structured mostly for students who are interested in the logistics and supply chain field and some other areas. But that seems, if you look at the core courses, that's where the primary interest of the students who go that degree and the jobs they get. The OR degree is a much more algorithmic and modeling degree. It's probably the most quantitative degree that we offer. And the product development engineering degree is a degree really mostly interested for students who want to get eventually to product management. So let's get to the first. Oh, I've mentioned the health systems management degree. It really is basically the ISE degree, but focused on the healthcare industry. There's a lot of job opportunities. I would say in terms that degree has like 100%. For every student who graduates, there's like 3 or 4 job openings in there. Person who runs that degree has all connections with all the major hospitals in California. Not all, but it's a good significant number of them. and there's more openings there in that field than there probably are even in tech, because there's just not that many engineers who enter this field. The first one, please. Okay, so MS in analytics. So it's really focused for students who obviously wanted emphasis in analytics and data science. There's some machine learning aspects to it. Discover, basically what you want to do is analyze data and see if there's any kind of prediction or hidden meaning that you want to identified from the data. But it's more than just machine learning. There's aspects of it that is statistics based. There's aspects of it that is decision making, and there's also what we bring that's different than, let's say, pure data science degree. There's some emphasis on optimization. Optimization is kind of the bedrock of analytics from an analytics point of view, and we it's one of the requirements in our program. We also have a lot of application based courses. We have a very popular financial analytics course, which was created by someone who uses basically machine learning models in industry to build portfolios of investment tools. We have a lot of project-based courses. I mean, when you deal with data, you don't really learn it unless you do it. And so almost all our courses have a lot of project-based. I would say that number is kind of low, 150. I'd say we get closer to about 200 students a year that start. Our students come basically, the background behind these students is students who have some kind of STEM background, right? So students who have an engineering degree, a business degree, an econ degree, a math degree, a computer science degree tend to do well in this program. And I said it's a very heavily project-based school program, and students go work, in a number of industries, consulting, banking, tech companies. It's a very broad degree that has a lot of applications in industry. Next, please. So in terms of the curriculum, there's really 3 core topics in this degree. And it's quite different than a data science degree. We do have a predictive analytics course, which is kind of like the bedrock course, and it's basically focused on how do we use data to make prediction, and how do we find the hidden jewels in this. Optimization, as I mentioned, is a bedrock of many of the models that are behind the tools that you don't, you hear the tools and you know the software, but you don't really know the technology behind it. A lot of the technology is optimization based, and we teach that with application for analytics, and that's why we call it optimization methods for analytics. The last course is something that you don't see often in a data science program. However, it's actually the course that a lot of our students use to get internships, because it's just a big need in industry, and that is basically how do we manage the data in analytics. And it's kind of there's really 3 main areas that we see students going into. One is actually some of our students actually get into, let's say, interest in data engineering, and there's some other courses that we are creating and offering that supports those students in that area. But we feel like anybody who graduates an analytics degree should understand. They may not be involved in data engineering, but they should understand how to manage data and to be able to communicate with those people. And that's one of the core courses. Now, then we have, so it's 12 units there, and the degree is 28 units. And a lot of students, I mean, you could do it in 1 year, but a lot of students choose to take it 2 years, and they squeeze an internship somewhere in there. Group A is basically, I would say, more kind of like project based. It's not like a weekly project. These are like projects almost close to a semester long project, based courses. And we have 3 such courses. The third course is the simulation course, so it's most of, notice that 580 is in both the group A and B, because you do learn simulation, but you're also using it in terms of projects. So it could be used as a group A. Now, group B is courses that basically allow you to use to build your technology set. or build or using it in a particular application. So we have courses on design of experiments, courses on data mining, courses on text analytics, which is basically NLP course, natural language processing course, a business intelligence course. A lot of these are going to be adding, and we'll make some tweaks and modifications. So there's basically one course required in this, and then you have two courses that are free electives. We're actually making some modifications into this degree, but we can't show you what the modifications are until they get approved. We basically have to do anything that we do is going to be probably, I would argue, is going to be, you'll still have the required courses as is. And this is going to allow more flexibility in terms of more courses. We're creating a course in cloud analytics for cloud computing. We're creating a course on time series and spatial analytics. A lot of students are doing some kind of geoanalysis, spatial analysis, and we're adding a course in that area. So we're adding a lot of courses and more opportunities because the whole field is growing. And so we're basically developing courses along two avenues. One is more tool-based, more courses to develop that go over more of the newer tools, and then courses which are basically of application domain. Okay, so if you're interested in kind of spatial analysis, we'll have an course on basically using the tools in the spatial domain. So that's basically in a nutshell. And then you have 8 units of electives, which is quite a bit of electives, but our students really honestly take the electives and just take maybe more Group A or Group B courses. Although they're free to take it from elsewhere. I mean, there's no requirement, but they all are interested in really keep building their depths in this area. All right, next one. Okay, so this is the other broad spectrum, right? So now we discussed all our master's courses units are 28 units. You'll see it's quite approved. So, and again, there's going to be some changes here. Statistics, we feel like any engineering management should understand how to do data analysis. That's just a must. Project management is literally one of the project managers is a very common job that our students go into. So we have a course in that area. Managing engineering teams, which is really the basis of the degree, is a required course. And again, knowing how to make financial decisions is very important, right? So if you have how do you make a financial? Basically, you're not going to be able to justify a project unless you show that it has a payback and there's some kind of a return for the company. So you have to understand the tools behind making a financial argument for justifying a project. So all 4 of those are required courses. Moving forward, though, we're actually going to drop the statistics. We found out that a good number of our students already have statistics in their background. So they've shown and demonstrated that they don't really need to take another statistics course in it. So what we're doing is I can't show it because it hasn't been made it through the approval process, but I suspect we're not going to have any problems there. But in the future, if you do have a statistics background, it won't be required, and you'll be able to have an additional elective to take. If you don't, then you'll have to use this. You'll be required to take statistics as part of one of your electives. So it's actually giving you more flexibility. If you have statistics, you won't be required to take it, but if you want to take it to strengthen it, that's up to you, but it's an elective. So one of the things that we do require is a course on technology. Technology is a very big part of the workplace, and we have 3 different courses that you can choose from to take as one of your technology electives. And then you could pick an elective, and actually you're free to pick them in almost, so basically we do this for advising. We give you a set of courses that if you're interested in more of a management track, courses in that area. We also have courses if you're interested in operations, supply chain track, and analytics track, and a technology track. We have other courses that you could take. Theoretically, you're actually free to pick any 8 advisor approved units. We just present these tracks in case you come to us and say, hey, I'm interested in the supply chain. Then we have these courses. A lot of our students in this degree actually take a certificate program at Marshall in either the management or operations track. And so that allows you to do that. We also have our own supply chain courses that can that could count towards there. So I don't have time to go into specifics of each of one of these different tracks, but the big picture is you'll have a choice to take 8 units of electives of your choosing. We just give you some suggested tracks to take based on your interests. Can we please go to the next one? So this is again is the ISC degree, and as you see, it's a very heavy on support kind of the supply chain operations focus. You'll see the first two courses are basically planning and inventory systems. Again, project management is a big part of it, so those are required. And then you could see basically different areas. As I said, it's kind of like the in between. So you have these qualitative degrees and you have these analytical degrees, but you also have the IC degree, which is in between. So we have a requirement that you must strengthen your quantitative skills, which is the Group A electives. You must also strengthen your qualitative skills, which is your Group C electives. And then, of course, your big part of IE is quality and operations. And we have the Group B electives for that. And then you'll have a chance to take one completely free elective. And so that's your IC degree. It's kind of interesting from just kind of an added comment. When I started, the IC degree was by far the biggest degree, and the others were support. As we, in the last 10 years, what I see is quite that students are much, so instead of being more of a broad, they want more of a specialization. So they either go to more of the specific tracks of either one of these. Now, the only thing I'll say about the health, it's a core degree with the CAC School of Business. It's a joint degree with them, and so you'll see two courses. But in principle, it really is very much in spirit behind similar to the ISC degree, but with I would say it's basic / ISC engineering management degree, but focused on the healthcare. You notice that almost all the required courses have healthcare on them because all the applications are health based. All the examples you see in the classroom, all the methodology you learn are pretty generic, but the applications and the context that you learn everything is in terms of the healthcare. As I said, the job market for students graduating from this degree is extremely strong. The next one, please. Okay, this one again is a very quantitative degree, and it's more of a traditional what you would learn from an operations research degree. You have courses in linear programming, stochastic modeling, simulation, enterprise-wide. 583 is basically an SAP course, and then a network flows course, and then you have a course of one of these 4 electives that you have to pick from. It's a pretty broad set, and you can actually propose some of others. And then the 4-unit kind of following electives either fits in one or two spectrums. One is an application area of OR, just like logistics and inventory is an application area of OR, or another tool that you can learn, another methodology you can learn, and such as stochastic elements of simulation is another methodology you can learn. So it's a quite flexible list, and then you also have a advisor approved elective of 4 units. And next one, please. So this program is actually a program very much interested for students who are interested in product management. You'll notice it's kind of like joint with the AME department, and there's 2 specializations. One is a management specialization, and one is a technology specialization. Students who are interested in the management specialization go through our department. So I'm not going to really spend much time on those who are doing technology specialization. It's much more students who are much more interested in the mechanical aspect of the design. So in this program, you have 2 core courses, which is the kind of conceptual design of new products. How do you go through the new product phase design? And the other one is kind of a general innovation course. Those are 2 core courses, and then you have two basically required specialization courses. One is project management. Again, you see project management everywhere because it's kind of one of the fundamental tool sets from a qualitative perspective. And there's some analytical special aspect to it, but it's about 80% qualitative, 20% analytical. That course topics in there. That and the 544 and 585, either one So of course, take one of those two can become then your management consulting track. That's 8 units. So those are 16 units. And then you have um, basically 8 units of a list of general electives you could take from, and then you have 4 units of free electives. So you have about 12 units. This degree probably has the most free general electives, close to 12 units that you're free to take. Next, please. So we're individuals working. As I said, very much similar to as you would expect everywhere. So I would group them in consulting. So you have students working for EY, KPMG, PwC, and some even go on to work for some of the strategy companies like Boston Consulting and so on, and McKinsey. So we have the consulting aspects. Then you have the technology companies that hire our students. Facebook, well, should be Meta now, Apple, Microsoft. Then you have logistics companies, just like UPS, Amazon. And then you have retail companies, Nike, Mattel. And then you have entertainment, even entertainment companies, such like NBC and Disney. So, and then of course, finally, of course, you would find students in manufacturing like Boeing and SpaceX. Next, please.
All right, I will jump in here. So thank you so much, Professor. That was super insightful. Thank you. It was really, really thorough and I learned a lot actually. So thank you. So I'll talk now about our online offerings. So as Professor Dessouky already mentioned, we have a number of programs that are available online via our online Dennett-Viterbi delivery method. This includes the master's degrees in engineering management, health systems management engineering, ISE, operations research engineering, product development engineering. We also offer 3 dual degree programs with engineering management available online, which are aerospace, mechanical, and electrical engineering. So in terms of our delivery methods, all programs, of course, all 60 of our master's degrees are available on campus, and a large majority of on-campus students, they tend to be taking courses full-time, but this is definitely not a requirement. It also depends on your goals in terms of how soon you want to complete your program. But typically on-campus students take anywhere from 2 to 3 courses at one time, and they usually graduate within 1.5 to 2 years. Typically, students who choose to take summer classes will finish on the earlier side of that 1.5 to 2 years. And in terms of online delivery, the large majority of online Dennett-Viterbi students are actually working professionals. So they generally take 1 or 2 courses per semester, just whatever their work schedule and other commitments will allow. But you definitely don't need to be a working professional to be a Dennett-Viterbi student. We do have some students who are just in a different location and want to study full time. And that's possible too through our online delivery method. So it's very flexible. On average, our Dennett-Viterbi students are graduating in about 2.5 to 3 years, but everybody, regardless, has up to 5 years to complete their degree programs. And you can even petition for an additional 2 years after that. So how does Dennett-Viterbi work? It is the Viterbi School of Engineering's state-of-the-art proprietary web-based delivery system. This enables students from all over the world to access the classes in 2 ways. You can watch live by streaming in or on demand afterwards as a recording. So Dennett-Viterbi students do have a physical seat reserved for them in each class that they're enrolled in. You are viewing the same lectures with the same professors as on-campus students, and the content is fresh every semester. You're also able to participate in highly interactive discussions with professors and peers, and you'll submit your homework electronically. You will, though, have to take exams at a proctored location, such as a testing center located either near your home or your place of work. Though if you live in Los Angeles, Ventura, or Orange County, you will have to take your exams on USC's campus. So this slide shows the comparison between a Dennett-Viterbi student and an on-campus student. So the program admission requirements are exactly the same, meaning you'll submit the same graduate application and all accompanying materials. Weekly course lectures would be online with interactivity for DEN students, but on-campus students would be attending live at USC's campus. DEN students will have access to course archives and documents, and on-campus students could potentially have this access, but only if they're enrolled in a class with other DEN students. Assignments for DEN students can be submitted electronically, but the deadlines are the same across both delivery methods. Exams will be taken at a proctored location for online students, but again, if you are residing in Los Angeles, Orange County, or Ventura County, you will have to come and take them at USC. In terms of courses per semester, it really varies. Again, if you're a working professional, we typically don't recommend taking more than 2 courses at a time. And then the degree completion requirements are exactly the same, and they vary by program between 27 and 37 units across our programs. And then all Viterbi graduate programs require students to maintain at least a 3.0 GPA. The diploma is the same and does not distinguish whether you were an online Dennett Viterbi student or an on-campus student. So what are the application requirements in tuition and fees? So it's important to know that every program has unique application requirements. For example, how many letters of recommendation you might need to submit if they are required. So make sure to check our website and navigate to your program of interest to view the specific application criteria. So for those of you interested in spring 2025, which begins in January, the application deadline was on September 1st. However, there is an application extension that can be granted on a case-by-case basis for those of you who wish to pursue your degree online via Dennett Viterbi. This is also for students who do not require a visa sponsorship, such as an F1 or I-20. So if you want to get started in January, you can reach out to us by email at dennetviterbi.usc.edu, and we'll be able to give you the instructions and more information on how to receive this application deadline extension for the spring term. However, if you're interested in applying for fall 2025, the application deadline will be on December 15th. So just some additional information for prospective Dennett Viterbi students who want to get a jump start at taking classes as soon as this upcoming spring without having to formally apply yet for formal admission. This can be done via our limited status enrollment option. So this option does require that you have an undergraduate degree in engineering, math, or a hard science or a related field with a cumulative GPA of at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. And it's limited in the sense that there's a maximum of 12 units that you can take under this enrollment option. But it's important to note that this does not guarantee that you will be admitted when you do formally apply later down the line. But if you want to get started taking courses before formally applying, you'll just need to complete what's called a Dennett Viterbi profile, which is a super quick process, and the link is there on the slide. And for those of you who joined us after we got started, there's no need to jot anything down. We will be sending you these slides within the next couple of days. So, and then if you want to chat any questions in, we'll answer them at the end for the Q&A. And then we also have an employer reimbursement deferment option, which is something for students whose companies will reimburse them for tuition after the semester. Rather than having to pay out of pocket, you can defer your payment of up to 90% of your tuition up to the end of the term. So in order to be eligible, your employer needs to reimburse you for tuition, and your student account needs to be current. And you can take a look at some additional requirements at the link there at the bottom of the slide. So do we offer scholarships or funding? So for Dennett Viterbi students, for those of you who pursue your degree online via Dennett Viterbi, we do have the Dennett Viterbi Scholarship, which is a merit-based scholarship, and it's awarded to outstanding students who are pursuing your master's degree online through Dennett Viterbi. It's a partial scholarship, and the award is between 1 and 4 units, and it's for those receiving partial or no tuition reimbursement funds from their employer. It must be used within the academic year that it's awarded, and you can reapply every year. To be eligible, you do need to have at least a 3.0 GPA from your undergraduate institution, be a newly admitted student, or have an application on file. So the spring 2025 application deadline is on November 15th. All right, so this slide has a few of the things that we touched on in this webinar. So to get started, you are absolutely welcome to visit our lovely campus, either in person or virtually. And the same goes for those of you who wish to pursue your degrees online through Dennett Viterbi. And whether you're planning to be an on-campus or a Dennett Viterbi student, you can get started with your application for formal admission for spring 2025 or fall 2025. And if you're interested in getting started as early as spring 2025 without yet formally applying, you can complete your Dennett Viterbi profile to complete courses as a limited status student. All right, so now we are at the Q&A portion of the presentation. So I'll go ahead and open the floor to anyone who wishes to chat in a question, either for myself when it comes to more admissions related questions, or for Professor Dessouky for any other questions. Beautiful. I see one come in. Let's see. All right. So there's a question about academic appointments. How many open positions does the department typically have for assistantships, like graduate teaching assistantships, research assistantships on a data analytics track? This person is on a wishes to go on a data analytics track. And how competitive could it be to secure these positions? What are the chances of receiving full tuition remission? Oh, here, that's a different question. So I'll let you answer that, Professor Dessouky, about the academic appointments.
Okay, so is this person a master's or a PhD student applicant?
Here, go ahead and pop that in the chat.
So it sounds like I'll answer for both masters. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So unless you have a scholarship, there is no full tuition program for any of the assistantships. The assistantships that we give for master's students do not come with a stipend. They come with a stipend only, not a tuition waiver. So how competitive they are, they're reasonably competitive. I mean, so students who basically there are two mechanisms for them to become involved in academically for a job through a stipend. And one is basically through a course producer, which is help. We have a large enrollment, and we have more than just teaching assistants. We have something called course producers, which help. And then the easiest way to get that is you take a class, professor knows you, and then when we offer these other courses, you basically support the professor in teaching the class. So that's one way academically. In terms of research, again, you get to know that comes from a different pool. That comes from the academic pool, the course producers. Then we also have some endowments and gift money, which allows students to do research with faculty members and get a stipend for it. So they're relatively competitive. There's no really set numbers. They're always based on the available funds, but it's typically not given for students in the first semester. You have to get to know the faculty, and you have to be supported by a faculty member. So the best way to do that is to get to know faculty, but they do not come with a tuition waiver. It's just a stipend that you receive. In terms of for a PhD, all PhD students get funding, and they all get full waiver tuition off. So, is there any other questions?
Yes. So is there an option to switch programs for masters within the department? And if so, what is the process?
That's simple. Within the department, it's really simple. We basically allow students to switch majors. Yeah, but you want there's flexibility in terms of electives, right? So the question is, will your courses you've taken in the previous degree transfer over to the new one? The answer in 95% of the cases is yes. It just depends how far along you are, right? We're not going to waive the entire new degree if you haven't taken most of the new units. But in terms of the administrative process, it's simple. You just go to the academic advisor and say you want to switch the degree, and it's just a signature, and it's done. In terms of how long it will delay your graduation, most of the times it doesn't has zero impact in your delay your graduation, because the courses you took before, you just move them over as electives in your new degree.
And then we had another question come in for veterans. Does the 9/11 GI Bill and Yellow Ribbon Fund cover the cost of tuition? So I'll take this one. So we do offer an unlimited number of Yellow Ribbon, fund for veterans, and then we also we have a number of military and veteran scholarships as well. So I actually encourage you to email us at den@viterbi.usc.edu, and then I can give you a ton of extra information and links to our veteran certification office, as well as more information for funding for military and veteran students. So I can give you a lot more information, and links through email. So I would actually encourage you to email us for all of those resources. Any other questions? Okay, so for health systems management engineering, do I need to have a background in the medical field?
No, just STEM.
Yeah, so for a lot of our programs, we just recommend that you have a strong mathematical background, STEM background, an undergraduate degree in a hard science or engineering related field. And that's kind of the recommended background for a majority of our programs.
In fact, that's why you see almost like in every one of the courses you saw there was health on the title somewhere, because really when you graduate from that degree, that you will know the healthcare and medical field very well. There's a lot of projects. It's a very health centric degree.
All right, another question. Is computer information systems an eligible major? It was in the business college at my university.
You mean, will it, if you come from a CIS degree, will it be considered STEM? Yeah, without looking at the list of courses you've taken, it's hard to say, but in general, yes, we've had students who come from a CIS background and been eligible to be admitted.
Yes, so it definitely depends on like which particular courses you took in undergrad.
Right.
All right, I'll allow a couple extra minutes for anyone who wants to chat in some questions last minute, but also if anything else comes up for you after this webinar ends, feel free to email us at den@viterbi.usc.edu. We can schedule a call if any, for any, more personalized inquiries. We're super responsive, so just shoot us an email and we'll get in touch with you. Okay, all right. No more questions have come through. Thank you all for attending, and thank you, Professor, for your insight. Oh, here, actually, we have someone just came in through the Q&A option. Oh, yes. So the person who asked if they could switch programs actually lost their connection while you were answering it. So Professor Dessouky, if you could answer that one more time.
Sure. Administratively, it's very easy. You just see your advisor and you switch, and you can switch from majors, especially if it's in the department. If it's something within the department, we have total control of it, and it's just an administrative step that you see your advisor. It's very easy. Now, what I said is basically in terms of the courses, it's by 95% of the time the courses you previously took you could use as electives in your new program.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Okay, great. Thank you everyone for attending, and thank you, Professor Dessouky, for your time and for your insight. Have a wonderful day wherever you are, and as we say at USC, fight on.
Bye-bye. Thanks for
Bye.
joining. Bye.
Thank you.